Hey everybody, this is Roth and welcome to our third video of our attempt to model Batman inside of Blender. So last video we mostly completed the torso, and in this video we're going to try to tackle the legs. And before we do that though, I have to address a few minor things that have been brought to my attention. So the first issue has to do with the way the viewport shows the objects, and that's called viewport shading, and those options normally are found down here. You can see that there are several different ways that you can view objects in the viewport. So wireframe mode looks like this, and it's useful if you're trying to select vertices not on just the front of your object, but you're trying to select vertices going all the way back from your view. But anyways, you press Z to get into wireframe mode. Now if you press Z to try to get back, you notice that the reference images goes blank. And that's because when you press Z to come back, you've changed this to solid mode. And before, when we had the textures, we had the Batman reference images showing, we were using the texture. The way you fix that, if you're in wireframe mode and you want to come back, just press Alt Z instead of just plain Z, and that'll bring you back to that textured shader mode. So the other thing has to do with where my torso's origin happens to be. You'd expect that the origin of an object should be within the object, but you can see my origin, the orange dot, is kind of behind my torso. Now to fix this, I could come down here to Object, Transform Origin to Geometry, and that'll place it in the middle of my shape. But you see how it kind of messes it up because the middle of my shape is just half. I'm working with only half the torso since I'm mirroring the other side. So to fix this, I can use my 3D cursor. So Shift S, and I can do cursor to selected. So right now the 3D cursor is lined up over where the origin currently is. And I can come over here to this menu. There's a 3D cursor section, and I want to make sure that my X location is set to 0. Okay, once you've got your 3D cursor fixed like that, then you can come down and go to Object, Transform, Origin to 3D Cursor, and that'll restore the mirror working properly like before. Now, with those things aside, let's go ahead and start on modeling his legs, Batman's legs. So I'm going to press Tab to go into Edit mode, and I want to address this edge loop here. So I just held down Alt and I clicked, and that selected the entire edge loop instead of just a single vertex or a single edge or face. So we're in vertex mode right now. I just did Alt, and it lets you select an entire edge loop, as you can see. Now, if you think about the center of your own body, it comes down your chest, your belly, through your belly button. Now the crotch area, your crotch area doesn't go from front to back in a straight line like this. It's kind of a U shape. So we're going to fix this a little bit. Let's move the front bottom vertices here up a little bit. So G for grab, lock it to the Z axis, and just bring that up something like that. And the back, let's press 3 on the number pad to go to our right view. You can see that Batman's bum sticks out more than we've got our torso. So we're going to grab this vertex and raise it to about right there. And then this vertex here, we're going to move this back. And we'll add some more edge loops. We'll add some more edge loops to round out Batman's butt here in a second. Let's select these two edge loops here. Go back to my right view. Grab this on the Y-axis. Okay, so back in my right view, I'm going to actually take this front bottom vertices or vertex, grab it, and make it follow Batman's package, I guess, a little bit better. I'm going to pull this vertex back. And that's probably good enough for now. Let's go ahead and go to face mode, select these 4 faces. And we're going to extrude these just once. Not too far, just out a little bit like this. And you'll notice that when I try to grab this, the center stays stuck together. So we don't want that happening at this moment. So go to our modifiers and under the mirror modifier, turn off clipping for a second. So that way we can grab and move it to the side without it being stuck in the middle like before. So I'm going to switch back to my front view so I can scale this properly. All right, so the extrusion looks a little funny right now. So we're going to tweak some vertices real quick. So the side, so I'm in my front view, and this vertex over here on this far side, just pull this out a little bit. And then we're going to reposition this vertex so that it's not such a kink in that edge loop. Same thing here. You want your edge loops to be as smooth as possible, and you can tell while you're rotating around if there's a kink in it, then there's something that might be off, and you can tweak that vertex as you're working. And you'll see me do that quite often. I'll sometimes just do it even without thinking, so I might change a vertex here and there without explaining what I'm doing, and it's just tweaking because I saw an edge loop that had a weird bend to it. But anyways, let's close up the center of this. You can see that when we turn off the clipping, it left this open gap. So we're going to close this off, and we're going to do this by selecting this front vertex right here and the back vertex over here. And I'm just going to press F for fill, and you can see it created an edge for me. And what we're going to need is, see there's an edge loop coming down this way. I've got to subdivide this, and I can do Control R. So the Control R is the tool that's used to make an edge loop cut like this, but we're going to use that R tool on the edge we just made, and what it does is it subdivides it and adds another vertex. So now we can select 1, 2, 3, 4, press F to fill that in, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, F again to fill that in. Okay, let's grab this vertex and this vertex, and we're going to pull this. Instead of just arbitrarily moving it, we're going to do something called an edge slide, which moves the vertex along the line that's already existing, I guess. And Shift V activates the edge slide. You can see it's sticking to the yellow line. I'm going to bring it back just slightly, and I'm going to actually scale these in together like this. That way my leg begins to take a more round shape. I'm going to select these 2 vertices, scale them up just a little bit, and then again I'm going to do an edge slide, but this direction. And what I'm trying to do is, again, I'm just rounding these 4 faces out in preparation for the leg. Okay, I'm just going to fix a couple of kinks here. Again, I'm going to fix them, but I'm going to use the edge slide to fix them instead of just plain grabbing them. So remember, Shift V is your edge slide. Okay, back to face mode. Let's select these 4 faces again. And I'm in my front view. And let's do an extrusion again. And what I did was I just pressed Z to take away the lock that it had. You saw the blue line, the blue axis, that kind of locked the extrusion. But I just pressed Z, made it go away. And now I can pull this down to about the ankles, rotate it just a little bit, and then scale it. So I'm just trying to match Batman's ankles right here. And go to my side view, pull this back so that it sits over where his ankle is showing here. All right, I think I'm okay with that. Okay, we're going to do an edge loop, a loop cut, just one for right now for the knee. And just position it to about right there. Grab, lock in the Y direction, pull it back some. Go to your front view. Let's position this, rotate it so it's perpendicular to my knee on the figure. Scale it down just a little bit. Now if you look closely, I'm going to turn off my widget, which are these arrows here, just so you can see a little bit more clearly. I'm going to turn it off by clicking there. Now this edge loop, I'm going to go to my right view. You can see it's not perfectly straight across. To make it perfectly straight across, what I'm going to do is scale this edge loop with S. I'm going to lock it into the Z axis. I'm going to press 0 and enter, and you can see it straightens it out for me. So just makes it a little bit more clean. It's not this curve, because we had the top of the leg curved. It kind of matches that curve going down. And while we're thinking about this, I'm going to select these 4 faces here and do the same thing. So scale, Z, 0, enter, and just flattens that out. Okay, press 3 on the number pad, go back to my right view. Yeah, now the knee is one of the major joints, and when you're animating it, it's very easy for the knee to bend and flex funny if you're not careful. So we need a couple more edge loops around the knee to help when it bends while you're trying to animate it. So I'm going to do 2 more loop cuts, one from the top and then one from the bottom. Okay. And then in face select mode, I'm going to go to my front view. I'm going to select these 4 faces in the front. So here I am. I've switched over to right view. I'm going to scale these. Well, maybe not. Let's do this instead. I'm going to go to my edge select mode, and I'm going to select just these 2 edges. And then in my right view, I can grab these and make them bulge out, sort of like a kneecap right there. And then on the back, select these 2, and I'm going to grab those just a little bit. Okay, now at the back of the knee, I'm going to select the 2 edges above the knee and the 2 edges below the knee, and I'm going to scale these on the Z axis closer together. And then in the front, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm just going to scale these on the Z axis again, but I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. I'm doing this to preempt the strange ways that your model will stretch and flex after rigging and animating it. Okay, I'm happy with the way that looks, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to try to do the calf with another loop cut. So Control R, position it, and what you can do is do the flattening trick again. So scale Z 0. That way you begin with a flat loop, and then rotate it just a bit, scale it up, and try to match the back of his calf. Scale, grab. So we kind of goofed on the z-axis, or sorry, the x-axis. So I'm going to switch over to my front view and scale it on the x-axis back down a little bit. So I'm trying to match this bulge on the outside of his leg while keeping the inside as straight up and down as possible. So yeah, I probably overdid it on the y-axis. So here's a view from the side. Let's fix this. Scale y in a little bit. All right, do a couple more edge loops, and we can call this a video. I'm actually going to select this edge loop up here, scale this along the y-axis, just like that. And we'll tweak these later. I'm going to add one more edge loop, about a third of the way down, scale it on the y-axis just slightly, trying to match the reference image a little bit better. Go to my front view, just double check everything. That's probably fine for now. So this video is running about 18 minutes, 19 minutes. I'm going to cut it off here, and in the next video we will tweak the hip area just a tiny bit and then try to do Batman's feet. So until next time, see y'all later.